AITA for rejecting my unfaithful ex who claimed her baby might be mine? Hi, I am a 27-year-old man who used to be married to my 27-year-old ex-wife Ashley, but our marriage fell apart due to her affair. We had been together since I was in college, and she was my first for everything. We dated for 2 years, and after that I asked her to marry me. Some people might say it was very soon, but I really loved Ashley and wanted to be with her. I am somewhat shy and introverted, while Ashley is completely extroverted. She is also incredibly beautiful, which is why I always thought I could never find anyone better than her. I landed a solid job after graduating from college, and shortly after I asked her to marry me. At that time, Ashley was struggling and working a minimum wage retail job, and I hated seeing her suffer so much. I had promised her I would take care of her and keep her happy for the rest of her life. I guess that just was not enough for her. We were married for 2 years before everything fell apart. One day, practically out of nowhere, Ashley told me she was pregnant. Before I could start celebrating and feeling happy about having a child, Ashley quickly informed me that the baby was not mine. I cannot describe to you how I felt when I heard those words. Ashley looked so cheerful and carefree that at first I thought she was joking. I just was not ready to accept that she had been unfaithful and become pregnant by another man. The worst part was that she did not even seem a little remorseful after the truth came out. With complete calm, she told me that she had stopped loving me a year ago and had started seeing someone else behind my back. I cannot remember everything she told me because later I had a pretty severe mental health crisis that basically made me forget the details of what happened. I just remember her telling me that she had fallen in love with someone else and was expecting his child. I remember asking her if she was sure the baby was his, and she said her intuition is never wrong. I would have been stupid enough to stay with her if the child had turned out to be mine, but she was sure the baby belonged to the other man. Ashley told me she had already filed for divorce and would not ask me for a single cent. Her new man was rich and had promised to take full care of her and her child. She also told me that this man thought we were already separated, so I should not reveal any information about the divorce. Anyway, I was not in a mental state to do something like that. Still, she begged me not to ruin her child's chance of having a happy and complete family with his biological parents. Ashley was worrying over nothing, because I would never do anything that could harm a child. Besides, after that day, I was practically mentally destroyed. Shortly after, I fell into a deep depression that started just before my divorce. It was a very dark period of my life, and it still scares me when I think about it. I will be honest and say that for a while I was in such a bad place that my family had to keep a close eye on me for my safety. Fortunately, my family, my friends, and my therapist helped me get out of that situation. Now I lead a pretty normal life and have a better job than before. I stay away from dating or any kind of relationship, and I am definitely not going to fall for the marriage trap again. I was living a quiet life minding my own business in my house, but suddenly Ashley appeared at my door. I was extremely surprised to see her, and even more so to see her crying. I asked her what she was doing at my house, but I was not prepared to hear what she had to say. It turns out Ashley's husband found out her son was not his. Sorry for not mentioning this earlier, but Ashley married her lover barely 1 month after our divorce was finalized. She wasted no time moving on to her second marriage with her wealthy affair partner. Yes, I know her lover is extremely rich. Anyway, Ashley was convinced her son belonged to her current husband, but it turns out her intuition was completely wrong. Over the years, her husband started having some doubts, but Ashley insisted over and over again that the child was his. Finally, the husband decided to take matters into his own hands and had the child tested behind her back. The results came back negative, and Ashley was kicked out of the house along with her son. She was staying with a friend who had kindly taken her in, but it was a temporary thing. It is worth mentioning that 3 years have already passed since our divorce. During all that time, I heard absolutely nothing from her, not a single word. And now she was at my doorstep begging for help because she was homeless and broke. I told her there was no way I would help her and that she was no longer my responsibility. With much difficulty, I asked her to leave my house because I did not want to deal with her nonsense again. It was not my fault that the child was not her husband's son. I do not see why I should help her now after having gone through her horrible betrayal. But Ashley will not stop blowing up my phone and telling me I should be understanding and help her in a time of need. I told her she was looking for help in the wrong place because there was zero chance I would help her after what she did to me. That was when she told me I should help her because since the child was not her current husband's, he is probably mine. That really left me completely baffled. I am starting to think she might be right about that. Still, I do not want to help her, but I cannot stop wondering if her son really is mine. 3 days have passed, and I am very close to losing my mind over this whole issue. Ashley keeps begging for help and trying to guilt trip me. Right now I am completely lost. I do not know what to do. Edit. I tried with all my might to convince Ashley to get a paternity test. I really wanted to know if the child actually belonged to someone else. But the reality is I cannot force her to take a paternity test. I mean, she clearly stated in court that the child was not mine. So what was I supposed to do? By the time the divorce was finalized, Ashley had already given birth, and I started thinking that maybe the child really belonged to the other man. Once again, I simply did not have the strength to fight because I was already in a very bad mental state. I had to focus on getting out of depression and taking back control of my life. Besides, I could not do much anyway, since the man had put his name on the child's birth certificate. I will also tell you the truth. I had assumed that man had tested the child and confirmed he was the father. A rich man like him had to be smart enough to do something like that. But maybe he was under the illusion that Ashley was completely faithful to him and would not lie to him. Men in love can be ridiculously naive. Look at me. I did not even suspect my wife was having an affair until she came to confess it to me herself. Furthermore, many people have been surprised that I never told that man the truth about the lies. Well, Ashley begged me not to so her son could have a stable home with married parents. I will be honest and admit I was tempted to confront the man, but I knew that could lead to serious legal trouble. Plus, I felt very little sympathy for a man who knowingly got involved with a married woman. No matter what the lies were, he should have known better than to get involved with someone who was not fully divorced yet. I would never have done something like that. That is why, from the beginning, it seemed ethically wrong to me. I guess the man was truly blinded by love and the excitement of becoming a father. Update 1. I did not mention it in the original post, but I was actually struggling mentally to make sense of everything that was happening. The fact that Ashley came back to talk to me reignited a lot of trauma related to my marriage. Some of you already pointed out that I still have some mental trauma because I have talked about dating and marriage in a rather negative way. Yes, I am still very afraid of being betrayed and cheated on. You have to understand that Ashley was my first relationship. I knew she was out of my league, and I never understood why she wanted to be with me. Now I see I made a huge mistake getting involved with someone who clearly could do better. I never suspected Ashley was being unfaithful. I thought we were happy together. God, we were happy until the day she announced her affair and her pregnancy. What can I say? It took me completely by surprise. There were no warning signs. She was not distant or uninterested or anything like that. We were even intimate on a regular basis. Just thinking about all that now makes my stomach turn. At the time, I was so traumatized that I started questioning if anything in my life had been real. Mental health issues run in my family, and I think this incident was a huge trigger for me. Anyway, I do not want to scare you or anything like that. I am much better now, and I still go to therapy when I feel down. That is why, when Ashley came back to bother me, I just panicked, but I did not have a full breakdown. I also have not really told my family what is going on because I feel a bit ashamed about all this. My family had been against me marrying Ashley and told me I should have waited a little longer before doing so. I guess I was too blind to see what they saw. Getting married so fast and so young was a stupid idea. I think deep down I knew Ashley would not stay with me, so I thought if we got married no one could take her away from me. I was also surprised when she said yes. All she wanted was someone to provide for her, and now I see it clearly. There are no illusions anymore. She keeps bombarding my phone with messages. By the way, I have already contacted my lawyer and scheduled an appointment with him. The DNA test has to be done. Ashley might be saying her son is mine, but I know better than to trust her word. She already lied to me before, so she could perfectly well do it again. Besides, I am not dumb enough to believe a woman who also lied to her lover about the paternity of his own son. Some of you left pretty nasty comments on my post because you thought I was abandoning my child. Well, that was not the case. I just did not want to take any chances before knowing if the kid really is my son. I am not sure what I will do if it turns out he is, but that is a problem for another day. For now, I am going to keep trying to arrange a DNA test with the help of my lawyer. It might take some time, So the next update will take a while, but I assure you right now that I am not going to be a fool, nor am I going to take Ashley back like she wants. Even if the child turns out to be mine, there is zero chance I will resume any kind of relationship with her. At most, we could co-parent the child, and she will get nothing more than that. Also, I plan to file for full custody if the child is mine. The kid is already 3 years old, so it is not like he needs to be with his mother most of the time. I will do my best to avoid giving Ashley anything, but I guess we will figure that out in the future. Update 2. Hi guys. I know you all have been waiting for this update. Again, sorry for taking so long. It took me a long time to convince Ashley to take a paternity test. It is a very long story, so brace yourselves. I must warn you that what happened is a bit wild and might be shocking to all of you. After my last post, I reached out to my parents and told them what was going on. I put my pride aside because I knew I was going to need help. If I ended up getting custody of the child, I would need my parents to help me out a bit. Plus, I cannot keep coming here every time I need emotional support. And I also need someone to talk to in real life. You guys have been very helpful, but I do not want to bother you every day. Haha. My parents, of course, were shocked and very angry at Ashley. I will not repeat all the names they called her, but they were very interested in knowing if the child was mine. They came to my house and also called me frequently to make sure I was handling the whole situation well. My father even accompanied me to the lawyer's office. I know I am a grown man and do not need my parents to babysit or coddle me, but there is no stopping them. I think they are afraid I will fall back into depression and that they will lose me completely this time. Yes, this whole fiasco has traumatized my parents too. Anyway, my lawyer immediately told me I should demand a paternity test before doing anything. He also told me that not sending Ashley money had been a good decision because otherwise she could have somehow used it against me in court. She probably would have tried to say I was voluntarily assuming responsibility for her child. Ashley is probably still fighting her ex-husband over the child support and divorce issue, but there is very little chance she will win. Since her son is 3 years old, there is a high probability her husband will manage to get his name removed from the birth certificate. After all, the man is very rich and has good lawyers. My ex, on the other hand, simply will not be able to keep taking him to court over and over again because she is practically broke. Anyway, I thought I could convince Ashley to take the paternity test without too much trouble. I was wrong. Ashley was quite against me taking the test. I was a bit surprised she was against this because I thought she would be thrilled. I mean, think about it. She could have taken me to court to demand child support, which basically would have guaranteed her money. But she was reluctant, and that raised a lot of red flags for me. She kept saying there was no need for a paternity test because we already knew her lover was not the father. She insisted there was no point in spending money on a DNA test and that the money would be much more useful to her because, according to her, she and her son were starving. They were not starving, nor were they on the streets. She was staying with a friend. I knew that perfectly well. I stood my ground and told her I would not give her a single cent without a paternity test. All those people who told me to give her money should look into how these things work in court. Anyway, I kept demanding a paternity test. And finally she caved and agreed to take one. By now I am pretty sure you guys already understand that the child is not mine. That is right. It turns out Ashley had been involved with more than 2 men at the same time during our marriage. I will be honest and say I felt relieved when I saw the DNA test results. I really did not want to be tied to Ashley again in any way. Yes, it would have been nice to have a son, but I also would not have been able to separate him from his mother. I know I said I would ask for full custody and all that, but deep down I knew that was not going to happen. I guess I was just trying to reassure myself and imagine ways I could be in my son's life without having to be in Ashley's life. Thank God the test results came back negative, and thank God I did not listen to some of your comments and help Ashley. I am pretty sure she would have taken that as a sign to latch onto me. Anyway, Ashley now sounds like a broken record. Can you believe she is still begging me to let her stay at my house and feed her? She tells me we could raise the child together and pretend he is my son. She says the kid is young enough to forget this whole parent swap and believe I am his real father. I do not know how well that would have worked, but I do not want it. As far as I am concerned, I am out of this mess. Update 3. I wish I did not have to come back here again, but here I am. Ashley is absolutely unreasonable. Yesterday, she showed up at my office and caused a major scene. She claimed her son was mine and that I was trying to evade my responsibilities and acting like a deadbeat dad. She was making a huge fuss at the office and, in fact, had to be escorted out of the building by security. People at my job know my ex had an affair and then married someone else. But unfortunately, they also knew about the pregnancy and the confusion over the paternity. That is why some started doubting and thinking maybe I was an irresponsible father. I literally had to go to the HR department and give them a full explanation of everything. I even showed them the DNA test results to cover my back. My reputation is very important to me, and I need to keep my current job. That is why it was necessary to clear my name despite the humiliating and embarrassing meeting I had to endure. But this incident also changed something inside me. My job is literally the only stable thing I have, and in a way it was a happy place for me. My coworkers and superiors appreciate me. So this incident has really infuriated me. Until now, I was just feeling frustrated and irritated by Ashley's nonsense. But this time, I am truly furious. In fact, I am seriously considering suing her for defamation, since her actions could have cost me my employment. I am also thinking about calling her parents and telling them what their daughter is doing. I know she is too afraid to tell them what is going on, because they have been very angry with her since the divorce. They are not going to like it at all when I tell them what she has been up to. Furthermore, a friend of mine suggested I talk to her ex-husband and try to clear things up with him. I think I might do that. If it does not serve any other purpose, at least maybe it will give me some closure. At this point, I am absolutely sick of everything that is happening, but I know this will not end soon. Just wish me luck so my ex does not mess with me again. Update 4. I was right to assume Ashley's parents did not know what was going on. They live in another state and have little contact with her due to her actions. They could not completely cut ties because they have a grandson. I used to keep in touch with them even after the divorce, but that relationship faded when depression completely took over my mind. Thank God I had not deleted their phone number, because otherwise it would have been very hard to get in touch with them. So I called them and explained everything that was happening. They were completely shocked to hear all this and told me they had been completely in the dark for the last month. Apparently, they only made video calls to talk to their grandson and practically did not interact with Ashley. During that last month, Ashley had been video calling them from a friend's house, so they knew something was not right in her marriage. They were not surprised she could not maintain a relationship with a man because she had already proven before how unreliable she was. They were thinking of confronting her, but I called them and gave them all the details before they found out on their own. Her parents are absolutely furious with her and do not even know what to say. They tried to apologize to me on her behalf, but I stopped them and told them none of this was their fault. They are actually good people and always treated me like a son. They were by my side when their daughter broke my heart and happily moved on to marry her rich lover. Anyway, they also told me the lover seemed to be a decent man. That was why it was a shame he was not the child's father. We talked a bit more about the situation, and I told them they should check on their grandson to make sure he was being treated well. Many of you have sent me messages and comments saying you are worried about Ashley's son because he is innocent in this whole mess. I have received some private messages where people tell me I should help Ashley in some way so an innocent child does not suffer. I am not mad at you guys. I know you have good intentions towards a child who truly is not to blame for anything, but I simply cannot help the child without also helping Ashley. Instead, I talked to her parents and told them everything that was happening. I am pretty sure Ashley's parents will step in to make sure their grandson at least does not go hungry or become homeless. Her parents assured me they would look into the situation again. They are good people, and I am pretty sure they will not allow Ashley to raise their grandson in terrible conditions. Through them, I also got Ashley's husband's phone number, and I think I will contact him after all. I know some of you do not understand why I am doing this, but it is fine. I just need to get it out of my system because I never really confronted the guy before. I do not want problems, I just want to talk. That is all. Maybe it will not help, but at least I will not be left with regrets. Update 5. Hi everyone. It has been a while, so first I must apologize for disappearing like that. A lot of things have happened, so I thought it would be better to do an update when this nightmare was truly over. Well, first things first, I am fine. A lot of you were really worried about me and my mental health. It is nice to know there are still good people in the world. I am doing quite well, although of course there have been some struggles. I am managing them with the help of a professional, so you do not have to worry. Plus, I will soon be receiving a nice sum of money, so it will probably be easier for me to pay for therapy. Yes, I sued my ex for harassment and for damaging my reputation. The case was pretty much open and shut, and I received a fairly decent settlement. Anyway, my ex would not have been able to pay much more either. Wow. She was not happy at all that I sued her and that I told her parents about her behavior. I also spoke with her soon-to-be ex-husband and told him the truth about our failed marriage. He was quite surprised to hear all the details and even apologized for having caused me so much pain. Ashley was not lying about that. The guy truly never knew Ashley and I were not separated. He also did not know Ashley was being unfaithful until the DNA test came up. He had a moment of weakness where he thought maybe he should try to save the marriage, but he quickly changed his mind after realizing what kind of person Ashley really was. By the way, they had a prenup, so my ex is completely broke. In a few months, they will be completely divorced. I have been getting some updates from Ashley's parents, whom I still talk to from time to time. They have always been very kind to me, so I do not think I should cut contact with them just because. Ashley had to go back to working minimum wage jobs, but most of her money was going toward paying the compensation she owed me for the case. She is now completely broke and living practically paycheck to paycheck. But do not worry about her son. He is living with Ashley's parents. From the looks of it, the child will be raised by them, since Ashley simply does not have the means to raise her own son. She is now practically couch surfing without a stable place to stay. Remember a friend was letting Ashley stay with her? She let her stay for a while, but kicked her out as soon as she could. I think that friend also wanted to get rid of her quickly because she was not happy with all the mooching Ashley was doing. Legally, Ashley could not even be considered a tenant under our state's laws. So that friend threatened to call the police if Ashley did not leave. Ashley had to leave and then showed up at her parents' doorstep, who refused to house her or support her in any way. They knew she would take advantage of them if they let her stay. Apparently, Ashley broke down at her parents' house and begged them for some help. They only agreed to take her son, and you know what happened next. Some might feel sorry for Ashley, but I do not. I think it is a good thing her parents are raising her son. She would not have been a good example for him anyway. Plus, there was also the fact that she has no qualifications and cannot even get a good job. The kid will have a much better life living with his grandparents. And now back to me. As I said before, I am fine. This whole experience has actually given me some confidence that whatever happens, I can handle situations like this. I am still cautious about relationships and marriage and will probably stay that way for a while, but it does not bother me. I need to work on myself first before trying to date again. Comment. Hey everyone, this story really touched me deeply. I've been reflecting a lot on how important it is to value our own self-worth. Setting clear boundaries after being hurt is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. Healing from pain takes time, and it's completely okay to focus on your mental health first. I believe choosing truth over convenience is always the wiser path. Being responsible for your own peace is one of the most powerful things you can do. True kindness includes protecting yourself from repeated harm. Learning to choose calm over chaos can truly transform your life. You deserve to live with dignity and real inner peace. I hope this encourages you to reflect on your own boundaries and make choices that honor your well-being. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.